April 7, 1945, 16:14 hours. USS Laffey, destroyer DD-724, 60 miles north of Okinawa. Electrician's mate second class Jim Walker was thrown against a bulkhead as the third kamikaze of the day slammed into Laffey's aft superstructure. The explosion ripped through the fire control room, killing 2 men instantly and severing every electrical cable connecting the bridge to the ship's 5-inch guns. Lieutenant Commander Frank Manson, Laffey's executive officer, stared at the sparking, smoking wreckage of the fire control panel and said what everyone was thinking. "We're defenseless. Without fire control, the guns can't aim. We're dead." Jim looked at the destroyed panel. Smoke was still rising from melted wiring. 57 separate electrical circuits had been cut. The cables ran through 3 decks and 200 feet of ship. Standard repair time, according to Navy technical manuals, minimum 8 hours with a full repair crew, maybe 12 hours realistically. Jim had 20 minutes, maybe less, because radar was showing 22 more Japanese aircraft inbound, 6 minutes out, and Laffey's guns were completely blind without fire control. The ship could still move, still float, but she couldn't shoot. And when those 22 kamikazes arrived, Laffey would burn like every other ship that couldn't fight back. Jim grabbed his tool bag and started running toward the cable trunks. He was thinking about something that would either save the ship or kill him. He was going to bypass every damaged circuit, run temporary wiring straight from the bridge to the gun mounts, skip every safety protocol, ignore every regulation, and create a fire control system that would probably electrocute someone or start a fire or explode. But it might work for 20 minutes, and 20 minutes was all they needed. This was April 1945, the final months of the Pacific War. The Japanese were throwing everything they had at the American fleet off Okinawa. Kamikazes were the primary weapon now, suicide aircraft loaded with explosives, piloted by young aviators with minimal training and maximum dedication. They attacked in waves, dozens at a time, overwhelming ship defenses through sheer numbers. On April 6th, the day before Jim's moment of crisis, 355 kamikazes attacked the invasion fleet. They sank 6 ships and damaged 10 more. Laffey had already survived 2 kamikaze hits this morning. The third hit had destroyed her fire control system. The 4th, 5th, and 6th hits would sink her unless Jim could get those guns working.
If you're hooked and want to see how this impossible repair saved an entire ship, smash that subscribe button right now. We bring you the most intense real stories from history that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what happens next.
James Walker was 23 years old, from Detroit, Michigan. His father worked at Ford Motor Company on the assembly lines. Jim had grown up watching cars being built, learning that complex systems were just simple parts connected properly. He'd worked as an auto electrician before the war, rewiring cars, troubleshooting electrical problems, learning that every electrical system had shortcuts if you knew where to look. The Navy had trained him on ship electrical systems, taught him to follow technical manuals, work safely, do everything by the book. But Jim's father had taught him something more important. Sometimes the book is wrong, and sometimes fast and dangerous beats slow and safe. The fire control system connected the bridge targeting computers to the gun mounts through a network of 57 separate circuits. Range data, bearing data, elevation data, all transmitted electrically from the bridge to the guns. When the kamikaze hit, it severed all 57 circuits. Fixing them properly meant tracing each circuit through 3 decks, finding the breakpoint, splicing new wire, testing continuity, documenting the repair. 8 to 12 hours minimum. Jim had a different plan. Forget the 57 circuits, forget the proper cable paths, forget safety margins and circuit protection. Just run 6 heavy-gauge wires directly from the bridge to each gun mount. Basic power, basic data, basic targeting. Crude, dangerous, possibly fatal, but maybe functional. Jim opened the main electrical trunk on the second deck. Inside was chaos, severed cables, melted insulation, sparking terminals. He started pulling wire from emergency storage, heavy gauge, rated for high current, normally used for main power distribution. He grabbed 300 feet of it, started running it through access trunks, bypassing every safety junction, every circuit breaker, every protective device. He was creating an electrical system with zero redundancy, zero protection, zero margin for error. If anything went wrong, the entire system would overload, start fires, possibly explode. But if it worked, the guns could shoot. Lieutenant Commander Manson found Jim on the third deck running wire through a cable trunk at a dead sprint. "Walker, what are you doing?" "Bypassing the entire fire control network, sir, running direct lines to the gun mounts." "That's insane. You'll overload the circuits." "Probably, sir, but we'll have gun control for maybe 20 minutes before something burns out. That's 20 minutes more than we've got now." Manson checked his watch. The inbound aircraft were 4 minutes out. "Do it. And Walker, don't die doing this. I don't want to explain to your mother that you electrocuted yourself trying to save the ship." Jim reached gun mount 3 at the stern. He opened the junction box, found the severed fire control cables, and started connecting his bypass wires directly to the gun's targeting motors. No circuit protection, no safety interlocks, just raw power straight from the bridge to the guns. He did the same at gun mount 2, then gun mount 1, sprinting between positions, connecting wires, skipping every safety step. His hands were burned from touching hot terminals. He'd been shocked twice, thrown back by electrical arcs, but the connections were holding. At 16:33 hours, 19 minutes after the Kamikaze hit destroyed the fire control system, Jim connected the final wire at gun mount 5 on the bow. He grabbed the sound-powered phone and called the bridge. "Fire control bypass complete. You've got direct connection to all 5 mounts. No circuit protection, no safety margins. Use it fast before something burns out." The gunnery officer tested the system. The targeting motors responded. The guns could aim. The fire control was crude, dangerous, possibly going to fail at any second, but it was working. At 16:34 hours, radar showed 22 Japanese aircraft at 2 miles and closing. Laffey's 5-inch guns opened fire. The bypass wiring held. The guns tracked targets. The targeting data flowed from bridge to mounts. The system worked. For 3 minutes, it worked perfectly. Then gun mount 3's targeting motor started smoking. The bypass wire was overheating. The insulation was melting. Jim saw it happening from his position near the mount. He grabbed a fire extinguisher and sprayed the smoking wire while the gun kept firing. The cooling foam kept the wire from igniting. The gun kept shooting. At 16:37 hours, gun mount 1 took a direct hit from a Kamikaze. The aircraft crashed into the mount, killing the entire gun crew, destroying the gun and severing Jim's bypass wiring. 4 guns remained operational. At 16:39 hours, another Kamikaze dove on Laffey's starboard side. Guns 2, 4, and 5 engaged, all using Jim's jury-rigged fire control. The Kamikaze took direct hits and exploded 50 feet from the ship. At 16:42 hours, the bypass wiring at gun mount 4 caught fire. Jim was there in seconds, extinguisher in hand, spraying foam while the gun kept firing. The crew looked at him like he was insane, standing next to burning electrical cables while kamikazes were diving on the ship. Jim just kept spraying, and the gun kept shooting. The battle lasted 80 minutes. In that time, Laffey was attacked by 22 kamikazes. 6 hit the ship. 4 were shot down by Laffey's guns using Jim's bypass fire control system. The rest were driven off by combat air patrol fighters. Laffey survived, heavily damaged but afloat, her crew intact except for 32 dead and 60 wounded. Jim's bypass wiring lasted 74 minutes before the entire system burned out from overload. But those 74 minutes were enough. The guns had stayed operational through the worst of the attack. The ship had fought back, and Laffey was still afloat when the last Japanese aircraft turned away. Chief Electrician's mate Robert Thompson found Jim on the main deck after the attack, sitting against a bulkhead, his hands burned, his uniform scorched, staring at nothing. Thompson sat down next to him. "Walker, you just saved this ship." Jim didn't respond for a long moment. Then he said, I created the most dangerous electrical system in the Navy. No safety margins, no circuit protection, nothing by the book. It should have killed someone. But it didn't. It kept the guns firing. That's all that mattered. The after-action report filed by Laffey's captain documented Jim's actions in detail. At 16:14 hours, Kamikaze impact destroyed all fire control circuits. Electrician's mate second-class Walker, displaying exceptional initiative and technical skill, bypassed the damaged fire control network by running temporary wiring directly from bridge to gun mounts. Repair completed in 19 minutes using improvised methods. Bypass system remained operational for 74 minutes under combat conditions, maintaining gun control through sustained kamikaze attacks. Walker's actions directly contributed to ship survival and successful defense against enemy aircraft. Recommend immediate commendation. Jim received the Navy and Marine Corps Medal in July 1945. The citation was brief but powerful. For heroic conduct during action against enemy forces on April 7, 1945. When USS Laffey's fire control system was destroyed by enemy attack, Electrician's mate second-class Walker bypassed extensive damage by creating improvised electrical connections in 19 minutes, restoring gun control under extreme time pressure. His technical knowledge, courage, and initiative directly enabled successful defense against sustained enemy attacks and contributed to ship survival. After the war, Jim returned to Detroit and worked for Ford Motor Company as an electrical engineer. He helped design wiring systems for the 1949 Ford models. He rarely talked about the war. When coworkers occasionally asked about his Navy Cross, he'd just say, "I did some wiring work under pressure. Turned out okay." He died in 1998 at age 76. At his funeral, two elderly men attended who nobody in Jim's family recognized. They were former Laffey crew members who traveled from across the country. One of them, a former gunner's mate, spoke briefly. "Jim's wiring kept our guns shooting. We were dead in the water without fire control. He gave us 74 minutes of gun control using wires he ran by hand in 19 minutes. Those 74 minutes saved the ship. We never forgot." USS Laffey survived the war and is now a museum ship in Charleston, South Carolina. Visitors can see the fire control room where Jim started his impossible repair. A small plaque marks the location. On April 7, 1945, Electrician's mate second-class James Walker bypassed destroyed fire control circuits in 19 minutes, enabling gun operations that helped defend this ship against 22 kamikaze attacks. His improvised repair represented extraordinary technical skill and courage under fire. The final mathematics tell the story. 57 circuits destroyed. Standard repair time, 8 to 12 hours. Jim's bypass, 19 minutes. System operational time, 74 minutes. Kamikazes engaged, 22. Kamikazes shot down using Jim's fire control, 4. Ship saved, 1. The electrician rewired the entire fire control system in 20 minutes. The gun crew used it to fight off 22 kamikazes, and Laffey survived because one Detroit electrician understood that sometimes fast and dangerous beats slow and perfect. His hands burned, his body exhausted, but those guns kept firing for 74 minutes on wiring that shouldn't have worked for 76 seconds. That's the difference between sinking and surviving. One electrician, 19 minutes, 300 feet of wire, and absolute refusal to accept that destroyed meant defeated.